for this moment in time, like there will always be another Mario game, right? Like now, but back then it was up in the air.
There might not be another Mario game.
If this doesn't do well,
if they would have put the lost levels out,
it could have changed the course of history.
There probably would never have been another Mario game. It would have changed the history of gaming had lost levels been there instead of Mario 2.
And then you look at Mario 3 and you're like, what the hell? What just happened?
Time to talk about games played by Ryan and Mike. A modern, a retro video game show. Yes, we talk about games and sometimes other stuff like Star Trek. It's a blast, our gaming podcast.
Welcome to Talk About Games, the show where Mike and I each bring a game to the table and talk about it.
Yeah, so I stream games on Twitch, and those are the games I bring here to the show. We've explained it before, but just, in case anybody's new to the show, this is a pretty new show. So what have you been up to lately, Ryan?
So this weekend, I went to a convention called Astronomicon.
Mm-hmm.
And
now, where's that at?
It was in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Okay.
So it's like a pop culture horror convention. And we run the registration and the game room.
Okay.
So it was kind of interesting because we were running tournaments in the game room. We ran Mario Golf, Mario Kart, and Smash Brothers. But that wasn't the highlight of the weekend for me because I was just in the game room. We didn't have that many competitors.
Do they have like arcade machines and stuff? Or is it not like, that's not like MagFest?
It's not that big yet.
Okay.
So it's like a smaller show. They just need our help with different things.
Okay. And they're focused like on movies and stuff. So it's not like just gaming. Okay.
Yeah, like there's a bunch of AEW wrestlers there, and there was a bunch of horror icons, like Kane Hodder was there.
Right. I met him before, yeah. That's cool.
Different things. They had some musicians. They had the Corey Taylor was supposed to be there.
Oh, that's cool, right.
But he got COVID right as it started, so he didn't make it. But one of the things we like to bring the mini consoles so that people have a variety of things to play. And one of the things we brought was a Super Nintendo Mini.
Okay.
And in the downtime, I gave myself a challenge. I'm like, if nobody's nobody needs our help, we're not running a tournament or anything like that, I'm going to try to beat a game every day.
Not a Super NT.
A Super Nintendo Classic.
The Super Nintendo Classic, okay.
Yes.
That says what, like about 30 games on it, and they're like the big games.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you wanted like the best sampling of the Super Nintendo, now there's a lot of stuff missing. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stuff you'd want to play, but there's enough stuff there. You got RPGs, fighting games,
sure,
Mario. There's enough to play.
Right.
So I kind of set the bar high at the start, but not too high. I played Super Metroid. And I managed to beat it in about 5 hours.
Okay. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I saw a guy back in like 2003 beat a friend of James, actually, he beat Super Metroid in like 30 minutes outside by his pool. Like we set the TV up out there. And that was the first time I ever saw somebody like speed run anything.
Yeah.
And but for me, I'm not good at Metroid games. So when you say, "Oh, I beat it in 5 hours," I couldn't beat it in 5 hours. Like I struggle with that.
And one of the things is I'm not a speedrunner. I'm nowhere near good enough. I don't know the strategies, how to, break the sequence and all the things to do it.
I suck at like trying to, there's like wall jumping in Super Metroid that you can do. And like, I suck at that.
It's, you know what? There was a lot of time this weekend I spent doing it in different places. I was really happy. Like as a kid, I don't remember being able to consistently get up the Norfair, like the Bryn Star, like the vertical shafts, and I was doing it.
That's cool.
And I was really happy about that. It was pretty cool. But
so I have a question. This is like off time at the convention because you know you went and you're doing different stuff at the convention, but we were at the booth basically doing this or what?
So we were running the game room.
Okay.
So we had a tournament that we had to run every day. We had to make sure people didn't steal anything. We had to do all of those things. So we'd run the tournament, and actually, I was with Johanna from Hack the Movies, her boyfriend.
Okay.
We were doing it, and Newt was there as well. we were doing it, and anytime that I had time, I just fired it up. I had my save states, and like people would walk over to play it,
right.
and I'd like move it to Super Mario World,
right.
so they wouldn't mess with it.
They wouldn't mess with it. Yeah.
I did like the little on the Super Nintendo Classic. You can lock a save state, so they have to like unlock it first. I'm like locking it as if that would do anything.
I think I also saw weren't you playing Mega Man X too?
Yeah, you know what?
Not Mega Man X2, but Mega Man X
No,
as well.
Mega Man X also.
Yeah.
So I beat Super Metroid. I was really happy about that, but I learned something interesting about Super Metroid. When you actually kill Mother Brain, and Mother Brain does the final attack, the beam attack, where she like holds you against the wall. If you do not have 3 energy tanks full, you just die.
Okay.
The baby Metroid never comes to save you.
Okay.
Right? So the first 2 times I fought her, I died. I'm like, why did I die? I got to the end. And it turned out that I had to have the energy tanks. So I had to basically not get hit because I think I had 4.
Right.
So I did it, basically not getting hit. Maybe I got hit once or twice.
Now people standing around watching you? Or, yeah.
Yeah, like towards the end, there was like a pretty good group. You know, there was a couple kids that came up to me and they're like, well, do you know the speedrun tech for this? And I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm just playing
You're like, I'm just a dude.
I'm just playing.
I go through that on stream. You know, people are like, if you do this, like, you can glitch through the wall or do this and that. I'm like, that's when I become an asshole. I'm like, oh, you want me to speed run? And then I make like, if we're doing like Samus, I make Samus one step. Samus takes another step. I do that because I'm like, I don't do speed runs, you know?
Yeah. So then I played Super Mario World, and I'm like, because now I'm trying to get a count. I'm like, I beat this many games, right? So I go like through the first level, go up, get to the Star Road, do all the Star Road levels, go in the front door.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I think I found, in my opinion, the easiest sequence is the second door in Bowser's Castle.
Oh,
you know, there's the doors.
Oh, you go in the back door?
No, I went in the front door because
you went in the front door.
I went through the stars.
Oh, okay.
So the easiest sequence for the front door is the second door goes to a thing that's like the first castle where you're walking on the fence.
The chain, like
so you do
chain
that,
link fence, yeah.
Right? And then you run all the way to the end and it's just the football player guys.
Right.
And the football player guys just jump over you and you just walk.
Yeah.
So you do that. So I beat that.
Then it goes to that little sequence where it's like the little
little
Bowser,
stars from
the little stars from Mario 2.
Mario 2.
Right.
And the light. You could turn the light on.
And then you go into Bowser.
And then you go in and you fight Bowser and you win. So I did that in under an hour.
I mean, the hard part I've always found of Mario World, because it's not a very hard game, is there's some areas in the Star World that can be pretty tough. Like a couple of those get a little tough. But overall, I think Mario World's pretty much the easiest of the mainline Mario games.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing, because I think it's a good way to introduce people to, especially now in this age, and be like, if you want to introduce kids now to an older Mario game, like that's probably the one to go to.
And it's very colorful and it's fun and the control's good. I'll tell you, going from Super Metroid, which has like the floaty like space control, to going to Super Mario World where it's like tight and Mario control,
totally different.
Is totally different.
Yeah.
But then when I got to my third game, because we were there for 3 days, so I was like game a day, whatever. I get to the third game, I'm doing Mega Man X. Mega Man X has even tighter control than Mario.
Yeah.
And I went through that and I 100%ed it. Because I was like, when I get to the Sigma stages, I want to make sure I have the health and the energy tanks and all that.
On the part before Sigma, there's like a tunnel or whatever as you're like climbing up to get to Sigma.
You have to like wall jump up. And
the wall jumping up, that's the part of the game I always refill my health and everything like as I'm doing that, because you can jump on the wall and like shoot guys and like you get like ready to go to Sigma. And I always feel like that's the part of the game, because you have to just sit there and wall jump. At least that's the way I do it.
Yeah.
Where I wish at that point like the wall jumping was more like Batman on NES, because with Batman on NES, the way Batman hits the wall and kind of turns around and then flips to the other side, he can't just wall jump on one wall.
Yes.
Where Mega Man can just stay on one wall. And I feel like I get like tired of just like, I'm just like on that one wall. And it's like, I don't know.
So one thing that would have made Mega Man X so much better is if right before you got to the bosses, there's like a little robot or something, and you go on and it goes like, dude, and fills all your stuff.
Oh, right. Well,
because
otherwise you have to farm.
What's the point in the farming?
Right.
What is the point? Why?
Right.
If you could sit there and shoot the little guy who comes out of the wall.
And you can say the same thing for Metroid. Like, there's always a spot you can find with the little bird or whatever that comes up at the lava, and he comes, and then you sit there, and it takes you like 10 minutes, and you're like, can't we just do this quicker?
Right. Because there's literally, once you know that you can get infinite health or missiles or E-tank or whatever.
You know what the counter argument is to that, though? Like, get good. Don't get hit at all. Right. Because I've been doing these no-hit runs of stuff. And, you know, that's what people would say to that. It's like, oh, well, you wouldn't need to farm if you were good at the game, you know, like all that shit, you know.
I have to say something about the Sigma fight.
Yeah.
The part where he has the lightsaber and stuff.
Yeah.
That's bullshit, man. That's like.
Oh, isn't there a dog, too?
Yeah. So you fight the dog.
Yeah.
And then he's got the lightsaber.
Yeah.
And that is like.
There's a specific pattern to it.
Not good, man.
Yeah.
But I can do the third part. With the hands and the lightning.
See, you know what's funny is that part I have more trouble with than because if you know exactly the pattern, it's kind of like I was just about to say, it's kind of like a Mega Man boss fight. Right. It is a fucking Mega Man boss fight.
You're right. It's
kind of like a Mega Man boss fight.
Tell me more, Mike.
In my mind, I was thinking of like Bubble Man or not. That's not a good example. What's like a good one? Like Woodman or something. When Woodman has the circle, you know to jump over it, and then the little ones come down from the top, get between them. Like, there's a specific way to fight the Mega Man bosses for that part where he's got the laser. I don't remember off the top of my head how you do it, but there's like a certain places to be to protect yourself from that. I'm pretty good at that part.
Yeah.
I fucking suck at the final part, though. That's funny. We're like the reverse with that.
The worst part of the final part is the sparks. Because the thing is when he's doing fire, the lightning stops.
Yeah.
So the lightning stops. You can walk. You walk all the way to the edge. You walk right under the hand, and it's never going to shoot lightning when the fire's going. So you can walk right under, and then you're on the left, and then immediately when the fire stops, you just dash.
Right.
And then usually he'll come down, and you can jump up and shoot him.
So you got to figure it out kind of like as if it's a Mega Man boss fight.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
So you did Mega Man X, you did Mario World, and you did Super Metroid. Now, just from that experience, not your whole life, but just from this weekend, which one did you enjoy the most?
I think I enjoyed Mega Man X the most.
Okay.
Yeah. Super Metroid was close. Mario, I'm like I was on a mission, man.
Right.
I'm just like, I'm doing this to do it.
Right.
Not like for enjoyment.
Now, I know that at convention Saturday is usually like the big day.
Yeah.
Which was the game you played Saturday?
Mario World.
That's the one to go for because it's Mario, right?
Yeah.
You want the people huddled around you. It reminds me of going to the arcades in the old days, and you play the game. You're playing Mortal Kombat or something, and the people are standing behind you, which is nerve-wracking, but at the same time, it kind of makes you play better. A little like streaming, where now everybody's like watching you. That was the equivalent in the 80s, I guess. Have your 5 guys standing behind you.
It's funny. I was on the Fire Yoshi star stage, which is the one that's like in the sky.
Okay.
Like with the bottomless pit. And
you like the red Yoshi.
The red Yoshi.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that. And you know where the key is? You have to like glide under. Mm-hmm. There's like 3 dudes with me, and I glide under, and I get the key in, and the guy's like, "Oh no, he didn't!"
Yeah,
like going crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, it's not that impressive, but yeah,
right.
You know?
That's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Yeah, but you're talking about Mega Man X. Like, I never knew until like. I might have streamed it like a year or 2 ago. The whole crazy thing that you can do to get the Hadouken.
The Hadouken, yeah.
Like, did you do that or no?
I didn't do it.
Because that takes a long time.
I didn't do it, but when I was on the stage with the minecarts, I did jump up and I made the jump.
Yeah, because there's like
to
other
where it
things
is.
you have to do. I forget. It's like a specific thing.
I wasn't going to get it, but I did make the jump.
Yeah.
To like the wall.
Yeah.
Where it is.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. Yeah. And somebody said to me, I forget, it was either Tony or somebody, they're like, "You gonna get the Hadouken?" I'm like, no.
Right. You don't need it. It's
because once you get that, it's a pain in the butt. But once you get that, you go up to Sigma, you're just like, Hadouken, it's over.
Right.
Like what?
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to do it. It did change my opinion of Mega Man X though, because I felt like Mega Man X was going to be hard. And like compared to like Mega Man 2, where you're like managing, like you need a certain number of crash bombs. You need there's like the part,
that's the one annoying part of Mega Man 2 with the crash bomb, that one stage. But like the rest of Mega Man 2 is not really a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can like no hit, like I'll no hit like Metal Man stage, like,
right? Yeah.
Stuff like that. I think 3 is definitely harder.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot.
1, 3, and 4 are harder than 2.
Yeah.
Five, I think Capcom was asleep while they were making that game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's fine, but it's like, it's the worst on the NES. And then 6 is a little better again, because they brought in those cool mechanics with like you can fly and shit and all that.
Yeah. When I was a kid, Mega Man 3 was like the big game. It was like the Skyrim of my childhood.
Yeah.
Right? And then I got to like Pharaoh Man stage, and I'm fighting Pharaoh Man, and I'm like, this is dumb. I was out. I was off. And
I still like Mega Man 4.
And I always went back to 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And I got 1 like super late. Like I already had a Super Nintendo when I got 1.
Yeah.
So
I remember going over to a friend's house that had 1, and I didn't have it, and I was like, I gotta get this game.
But the one thing that made me happy was having played Super Metroid gave me perspective for my pick for this week.
Okay.
Because I played Axiom Verge 2.
Okay.
Now, Axiom Verge was a really cool game because it was made by Thomas Happ. It was made by a guy.
Right.
It's not made by a company. It's, and we're kind of in a drought of 2D Metroids.
Yeah.
Although I think Metroid Dread might be out by the time.
You mean of official Metroid
2D Metroid?
Because there's a lot of Metroid like Vania games out there.
Yeah.
And so when I first started streaming, one of the first streams I ever did was with Ryan, and we played a little bit of Axiom Verge. That's about all I've ever played of it, was that stream.
Yeah.
So I know what it is. You can tell me if it's even considered a Metroidvania, because I tried it, and I remember it's basically, when you first start playing, it seems just like a Metroid game. So when people say like Metroidvania, that's like, where's the Vania part of it?
So Metroidvania really comes from the combination of 2 very specific games. Super Metroid,
right,
and Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
See, that's the thing, Symphony of the Night, because I don't really, when I play Castlevania, I'm usually playing like the.
Oh, you play real Castlevania games?
I play like Castlevania 3. Yeah.
No. As like a teenager, I had no appreciation for Castlevania. You know who actually gave me an appreciation for
Wait, hold up a second, because you've told me before that you used to play Castlevania 3 as a kid.
Okay,
so,
here you go. Okay. My favorite Castlevania prior to Symphony of the Night was 2. My dad and I stayed up all these nights. We had all this paper that we wrote down. Like, we didn't have Nintendo Power. Me and my dad figured out that you had to kneel with the crystal. We figured out that you needed the crystal to see the platform in the bodily mansion. We figured out all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And I sat down with him, and the saddest part of this story was when I finally beat Castlevania 2, my dad had to work late. He wasn't there. I beat Dracula by myself.
I also know that you and your dad figured out Bugs Bunny's Crazy Castle.
We did. And we didn't figure out how to beat the last few levels. We actually reverse engineered the password algorithm.
The password thing.
Yeah. So we figured it out, and we just we're going to go to the end. Yeah. Here you go, because this is the last number in the sequence.
Yeah.
Last level. Boom. Yeah. So Castlevania 2 was my favorite. I played 3 a lot. I loved Grant. I love getting it a la carte. I thought Sypha kind of sucked, to be honest.
Yeah.
As a kid. Maybe not now. But Symphony of the Night brought me back to those experiences that I had with my dad. So I liked Symphony of the Night a lot.
Right.
And Super Metroid was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I could tell you a story about when I first played Super Metroid.
Yeah.
My friend got Super Metroid and he brought it over, but he also brought over a BB gun.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm playing Super Metroid. I'm like, I'm playing Super Metroid. This is great. And my mom's like, what's this? And then she sent him home.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, no, don't do that.
Was it a Red Rider?
No, it was like plastic. It was like a pistol.
Yeah.
With like the CO2 cartridges in the handle.
Okay.
Like it was like a thing. And he's like, yo, I got Metroid. I got this. It was a party.
He brings over a fucking Super Metroid and a gun. You're like, oh shit.
I'm like, yo, this is a serious game.
Yeah, this is going to be a good day.
Right? So, Axiom Verge 2. First thing I'm going to say right off the bat. Axiom Verge 2 is not a retro game. Mm-hmm. There is so much. Yes, it's Metroidvania. I think it's more... Actually, this is the closer to Symphony of the Night than to Metroid.
So it's like the Final Fantasy where you go in the menus and you're selecting items and shit? Does it have that?
No, I mean, it has items. It's more like the number of items it has is more like Battle of Olympus than...
Okay. Does Axiom Verge 2 have any Castlevania-ness to it? That's what the question
Yeah,
I'm
because
trying
it
to
has
ask.
melee weapons.
Okay.
And the character transforms, like Alucard transforms into like the bat and the this and the
Okay.
that. The character transforms. But, you know, there's a few things about it. There's the main world that you go to. And there is like a reverse world, like an upside down, like Stranger Things.
What I was surprised and what I noticed, I watched a little bit of Ryan's footage of the game, was that from playing a little bit of Axiom Verge 1 to looking at this game, Axiom Verge 1 looks like Metroid. This game, from the footage I saw at least, does not fucking look like Metroid at all.
It does not. So
like you were in jungles and stuff. And
I'm gonna make some guesses.
Yeah.
Right. Thomas Happ, guy who made it, probably has been reading a bunch of like Eastern religious texts recently, because it's got this like crazy story about like reincarnation and the gods and metal and nanoparticles and all this like religion versus not. And you could play the game without looking at all that, but the story is like, it's high tech. It's about superluminal or faster than light communications and alternate realities and religion and all this shit.
Okay.
So all this shit is happening. This is like not a game for kids where it's like Ridley and bad.
It's not basic. Yeah.
It's not basic. Like there's a lot
It's for adults.
going on. I also think that he's listening to a lot of like world music,
Okay.
because all the like the soundtrack is very like the music comes from different cultures. Like,
do you feel like he's trying to like win an award?
Oh, like it's Oscar bait? Is that the argument you're making? I don't know.
I haven't played it myself. I'm just asking
I definitely think it wears its like sensibilities on its sleeve. Like it's very accessible.
Okay.
Like you could literally walk by the bosses. Now I want to fight the bosses.
Right.
But you could literally like imagine you're playing Super Metroid and you're gonna get like the space jump or something. You just walk under the boss and go into the room and get the thing and leave. That
7 years ago, Mike would have said, "What the fuck."
Yeah.
Mike today, I'm just like, whatever. I'm 40.
Well, I mean,
I'm gonna be 41. I'm not gonna make this a thing.
Think about it. That's good. That's progress. Mike is making progress, ladies and gentlemen. That's that. So,
I still totally believe you should beat the fucking boss, though.
so I have to say, the first time that I walked into a boss room and I walked out the other side, like the music doesn't even change when you see the bosses. I walked out I'm like,
That's weird.
Is it a boss?
Right.
And then I walk out the other side and I get the item
Without fighting the boss.
and I'm like, huh.
So since I'm trying to, sort of see things from the other side, because I'm a guy that likes to fight the fight and I like the challenge. What would be the reason to not fight the boss and just get the item? I don't understand that. Isn't that just taking the game away? I don't even get it.
So what if you're in it? Because the game has story.
Right.
There's a lot of good to say about this game. The game has a story that if you're invested in that story, you may just want to go through it
Maybe just want to see the story.
just to see the story. So that's a reason.
Okay.
One of the things that playing Super Metroid taught me was Super Metroid has very awful mobility when it comes to you want to go from Norfair to Meridia, you want to go to Brinstar, you want to go to these different places.
It's nice to be able to warp, like almost like because you warp to the middle of Brinstar, because you warp to the middle. Like I know, like Twilight Princess has that mechanic where you can go into like these things. I kind of forget what it is, but being able to warp.
So this game gives you the warp as an ability, but it also, like, it's very hard to get into a zone. Like, if I'm going to find my way to the desert, I'm going to find my way to the lake. Like, oh, where do I go? That's like the difficult part of the game, navigating. But once you go in there and get the power, there are these gates that are set up, usually between the zones. And once you open the gates, you could kind of fly through the game to get where you're going. Because the game is very condensed. There's not a lot of like hallways you got to go down. Then you go right to left, up and down pretty readily. And the mobility abilities are really good. The other thing to open up areas that's kind of cool is there's a hacking mechanic where you could have like nanobots swirl around you, and you can hack nearly all the enemies in the game and a lot of doors and things. And then those open up either secrets or alternative ways to travel.
And now I'm just thinking about, isn't there a next gen episode with like Wesley that has something to do with fucking nanobots? Sorry, I just totally went into Star Trek, but
when I think it's about time,
right?
That's all I have to say. We've been doing this for too long.
We've been talking about it 25 minutes without Star Trek.
Star Trek,
I had to bring it up.
I'm like,
no wonder you're not feeling too hot today.
Shakes. So the only Wesley episodes I remember is where he is part of the Red Squad, not Red Squadron. He's part of the squadron.
I like that episode.
And you know they get in trouble because the guy dies.
And Robert Duncan McNeil's in it.
Yeah. And now every Trek fan till the end of time is going to talk about how the Robert Duncan McNeil in that is not the same as Tom Paris, but it might be, and blah blah blah. And it's this big freaking.
It's a fucking actor. Like,
could you calm the hell down? Right. Odo isn't a member of Klingon security. It wasn't like he was hiding.
I was upset that we didn't mention that in the fucking video with Tony. There's so much. So much more to say about Star Trek 6 that we didn't cover. I was like watching it. We covered a lot of good things. But I could have talked for 3 more hours about that fucking movie. Can we? So we're switching the topic today. This is about Star Trek 6 now. Right?
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, but the other Wesley episode I remember is the one where
the game
where everyone where everyone gets like high and like the isolinear chips they're playing with them. And
that one. Yeah. Well, that's the Naked Now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that one. There's the game where he meets the girl and they're all doing the
Ashley
thing.
Judd,
And they're the last people on the ship. There's the one with the Traveler where he actually finally. Well, there's 2 with the Traveler.
I was just gonna say, do you remember the later Traveler episode?
The later No,
like that one sucks. I hate that episode.
Oh yeah,
that's where Wesley goes off forever.
Yeah,
until he comes back in Nemesis
in the
for the wedding
deleted Nemesis scene.
Oh yeah, it's deleted. Yeah, that's
right. They shouldn't have done that.
There's a lot of things
like
that shouldn't have happened.
Will Wheaton. I wonder how that affected his like points for like syndication and stuff because he was taken off. Like he probably lost like that episode. Yeah. He probably lost like money. Right. Like that's why he's.
I think I've heard him say it was his idea to not be on the show anymore. Who knows what the truth is?
Well, that's good. It sucks being like a child.
I would understand that if you're like a character on something, and you're like getting a lot of hate mail and stuff. Yeah, it probably sucked for him.
Yeah,
and I gotta say, like he wasn't. There was episodes where he was like annoying and whatever, but there were some good episodes with Wesley. He wasn't that bad.
No, I mean I think that like as a kid. Like I was like the right age for Wesley Crusher,
right?
Because it's like, oh yeah, they got the kid on the bridge. He gets to sit in a chair,
right?
But not too long,
Yeah, right.
But anyway,
my favorite part of Axiom Verge is the part where they go, "Shut up, Wesley."
Yeah. I like where they're going, where he's going with this series, where like the first game was very much like
Metroid.
close-end story. It was
okay.
Metroid. It was its own thing. You had guns. You had all this stuff. It was like very different. And then now in this one, it's like a totally different story. I'm like, how are the you know
what is nice though? I like that to see somebody be brave enough to take. Would you say that this game takes a departure from the first one?
Yes,
like a
absolutely,
lot?
100%.
I like that because I find now, especially with like movies and Hollywood and everything, everybody's so afraid. They just want to like kind of remake the formula of what was successful before. But Nintendo was really fucking brave to do what they did back in the 80s with Mario to make it the second one so different, with Zelda to make the second one so different. Like that shit that they did, that was a big deal because that's like Mario and Zelda. They took major chances. It worked, paid off. They were smart, but that's scary. So I like that sort of bravery of like not just following the same formula, because you might fuck it up and people might be like, this sucks. It's not like the first one. You got to be brave to do that. Even if the game isn't good, I like the bravery of doing that.
Right, because for this moment in time, like there will always be another Mario game, right? Like now, but back then it was up in the air.
There might not be another Mario game.
If this doesn't do well,
if they would have put the Lost Levels out,
it could have changed the course of history.
There probably
for
would
us.
never have been another Mario game. It would have changed the history of gaming had Lost Levels been there instead of Mario 2.
And then you look at Mario 3 and you're like, what the hell? What just happened?
Well, Mario 3 is the real Mario 2.
Yeah.
Because, the Lost Levels is the real Mario 2, but for the US, Mario 3 is the real Mario 2 because Mario 2 US is a fucking sprite swap.
Right.
That's all it is. It's not a Mario game.
The game was made for the Olympics for a TV station. It's like,
yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
But Axiom Verge.
I think that they went with all new story. They changed the rules of the universe a little bit. There's not a single power up really in that game. Like there's the drone and stuff, but the power ups are all very different. You don't know how many Metroidvanias I play.
A lot more than me.
Ooh, a ton. Everybody's making a Metroidvania. And this was the first one where I looked at some of those powers and I was like, wow, this is new shit. It's
That's
new.
great.
It's new. I do think, I'm going to go back on what I said, and I do think for me, and this is me, able-bodied person for the most part, the accessibility stuff kind of did. I wish there was a way that I could make it so that I had to fight the bosses and had the boss music.
You feel like it took away?
I think it took away from it because the world's like, it's like lo-fi hip hop, right? It's just you're experiencing. It's not like you're fighting.
Because it is supposed to be a video game because it is a video game. So when you take away the boss, it's like there's supposed to be that challenge before you get the item because otherwise you just grab the item. When you fight the boss, you're rewarded. So you miss out on that sense of being rewarded, which kind of, that's my feeling.
And the pixel art is so freaking good on the bosses.
Yeah.
It's like this super detailed, techno-organic, like it's art. The pixel art for these bosses is like, you could take that and like put it on your desktop. Or you could like print it out and like put it on the wall.
So like, would you say as good as like Pitfall on Atari?
Yeah, possibly. Better than Pong.
Really?
Yeah.
Better than Pong.
Better than Pong. That is my endorsement. You can put that on the box.
The box.
There'll be a box. It'll have a physical release.
Yeah.
I have the physical release of the original Axiom Verge somewhere around here.
So was there anything you did not like about Axiom Verge 2? And would you rather play the first game?
So in the bottom left-hand corner, would I rather play the first game? Yeah, somewhat. I'm happy I played this, but if I was replaying it, let's say that 10 years go by and I'm like, I'm going to replay Axiom Verge. I'll probably replay the first
one. Okay.
Right. But 2's cool. One thing I didn't like about it was the little like charm you have in the bottom corner that shows you which way to go. It was very hard to understand.
Oh, okay.
So like if you watch the footage, I played this game for 5.5, 6 hours for this episode.
It's kind of like a radar to tell you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Play the game for 5.5, 6 hours to do this, and I spent a lot of time wandering in that time.
Yeah. Well, you do that though in Metroidvanias.
Yeah, but I'm like,
I do.
I'm like sitting there. I'm like, where the fuck do I go? Like, I'm like, where is it? And then finally you find, oh, I go this way. And it got a little easier. In the times when I'm like rocking, where I'm like, I'll go here, do this. Oh, I'm going to get this power up. I'm going to do this. It's super satisfying. I could spend like 20 minutes trying to find my way to where I'm going. As you get to that 21st, 22nd, 23rd minute of trying to figure out where you're going, I'm like, fuck this.
That's how. So that I don't play a lot of Metroidvanias because I get like that too.
Yeah.
I start to get shitty with it. I find I like to play Metroidvanias if I'm gonna play them off stream.
Yeah.
More so than on stream, because when you have an audience watching you or your people behind you watching you, those people want to see you progress.
Right.
They'll wait a little bit, but I think, the audience wants, if you, the same thing over and over, so it gets stressful. So when it's like with puzzle games and Metroidvanias, you got all these people watching you and you're like, if you get like a little lost, you're like, I wish I was just playing this by myself, without people watching me, because I want to just like kind of fuck around and dick around,
Yeah.
And it makes it stressful on stream to do that.
It's bad TV. Right? Wandering around is bad TV. You know what's not? Dying a little bit is good. Dying too much is bad. Right? Like, people want to see you like overcome, but they don't want to see you like suck.
Right. Totally suck.
There's
right.
a balance between overcoming and sucking.
Right.
Man, I don't know how you do these like no hit, no whatever runs that you've been doing lately, because that's like,
well,
that's
it's a little different than that. If I'm just playing a regular NES game or whatever Genesis game and I'm trying to get through it, I could feel that way about just sucking. But when I'm doing a challenge, I think the audience is more forgiving.
Yeah.
Because they know you're doing something insane. So if I'm dying over and over and over, I don't really feel bad or anything, because it's like, well, I'm doing this ridiculous challenge.
Yeah.
So, that's a little different. So yeah, if I'm going to move into my topic now, I was going to talk today a little bit. I've been playing Mario. Hey, the game I brought today, guys, is Mario 1. Boy,
never heard of it.
Yeah.
What?
So people, like laugh at me or joke, be like, oh yeah, you're a real variety streamer, Mike. That's nice to play Mario 1, you fucking asshole. I know. But I do play a lot of different stuff though, really. But a lot of times I do come back to those classics. At least they're classics for me, because I say that because of the games I grew up with. So part of my streaming is always going to be going back to those classic games, Mario and Castlevania and Contra and stuff, because to me, like that, it's like that's the stuff I grew up with. Like I'm always going to try to find a way to go back to that, because I love that stuff and I don't want to forget that. But then at the same time, I'm moving on playing other games too. I'm playing Valheim and Streets of Rage 4 and whatever, all these other games. Anyway, so for me though, to be able to come back to the old games, I have to have a reason. So I'm like, why would I ever play Mario 1 again? Well, what did I do? I already beat it, no death. I already did this, I already did that. So I'm always trying to find other reasons to come back to those games. And I'm getting to the point with some of them, Contra now. It's like, what more can I do? Some people have said maybe do a pacifist run or something like that. So I guess there's always like something you can think of, but I'm getting to the area where like I might eventually not be able to play these games anymore,
right?
Because I'll have nothing left to do. And I think so. I just played Super Mario Brothers 1. I did no hit, no warp, like no death, no power ups. So it was small Mario the whole time. And so that was the requirements, and it took me 2 streams to do it, and I finally got through it, and I fucking was sucking. Probably some of the worst Mario playing I've ever done in my life.
Wow.
Is how I felt. So I was playing like shit. I'd talk to the chat, I'd play like shit, I'd start the game over, then all of a sudden I just did it. and I was like it was like a shock because I was playing so badly. I was like, this is gonna take me a month because I'm terrible. And then all out of nowhere, I just like did it. It was it's always fun to come back to those games, but it's just that's what it is. It's just me going back to the games I grew up with because I'm nostalgic for them.
There's I guess, did you put any thought into strategy as far as the path you would take through the levels to make it easier?
Well, with Mario 1, you're going from left to right, so there is
I'll give you an example, right? In World 2-1, it's like you want to you can't get over because you can't get a power up, right? So you can't go over. And I think about like some of when Bowser starts having the Hammer Brother hammers.
Oh, you're saying to be big to crush the top, to run and stuff like that?
You can't do any of that.
None of that.
You can't do it.
No. Also, I wanted to go the long route the whole way because I want it to be like the full game, You know
what's fun? When you get to the first world with Lakitu, which I guess, is it 4-1 or 5-1?
Oh, and he starts throwing the spinies.
Yeah. It's so the first warp zone is 2-3-4, so it's 4-1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In 4-1,
sounds right.
I love that you can run and jump over the pipes.
Yeah.
Like your jump, the arc of your jump is perfectly like you won't hit the ground on the pipes.
You think of like Mario and something that everybody takes for granted now, but I don't because I still go back and I play like so many crappy retro games. Yeah. There's a lot of old games where they don't use that Mario style of jumping where you jump up and you can't move in the air.
Yeah.
And
like Castlevania.
Right. You can like move forward and jump, but Castlevania is totally different, but yes, exactly. You jump up in Castlevania, you can't like move around. That's a good example. But there's a lot of games where you can't do that, and it makes you realize how brilliant that was.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why Mario 1 was such a big hit, because it had those. That was, I guess, the first time you ever saw that.
So we just had that conversation on the game that we don't want to talk about here, but the one that you and I are working on together. Mm-hmm. One of the things that Mario does is Mario's movement is actually stored as a decimal, right? Like, you're looking at the screen, there's only a certain number of pixels, right? But Mario's position is actually like a decimal movement. So his position could actually be somewhere between pixel 1 and pixel 2.
So you're saying like when he's in the air and you're like moving him around, those are like decimals?
Yeah,
or something?
Like what you see on the screen is he's locked to the pixels on the screen because there's only a certain number of pixels, right? But his position in terms of like the math is he may actually be at like 2.5 or 2 1/3. So what that does is that creates a large amount more positions that he could be in, like very precise.
Wow.
Now it doesn't affect things like collision, and it doesn't affect things like how it's rendered on the screen, and you can't really tell. Mm-hmm. But the fact that there's all of those steps, that the scale is a non-integer, non-whole number scale, makes the movement so much more precise.
Yeah, it's very precise. It's very well done.
And from a mathematical perspective, on a 8-bit system like that, a very primitive computer by any standard, it's harder to do it that way. Mm. And the project that we're working on, Sam and I talked about it, and we said we need to have the Mario style decimal movement because people will notice that it's stiff.
Right.
It's on the 1, 2, 3, 4.
That makes sense.
Right. So Mario has that beautiful movement because they invested that extra time in making the movement on the code side so much more precise.
Yeah, I love how the game controls even to this day. I had some really fun moments with that. I'd go through, when I got to the end of it, you're going through the Hammer Brothers and all that, and I surprised myself. I had never gotten to, with this challenge I'd done, I never got to World 7 or 8 until the run where I actually did it. So I made it all through the hardest part of the game in one run. And I'm not saying this like, oh, look at me. I was like shocked that I did it because I thought I would have to do World 7 like 20 times and World 8 like 100 times, you know?
In the last level, did you glitch to the pipe?
No, I don't know. I don't even know how to do that.
Oh, okay.
I've never even heard of that, actually.
So,
I don't know.
you know the pipe you got to get into?
I know that there's a pipe. Well, there's a couple pipes you have to go down.
But the one that's in the air.
Sure.
The gray pipe, it's in the air.
Okay.
When you watch speedrunners do it,
There's a glitch you can do.
If you jump, they can actually like kick off the squares that are underneath the pipe and do like a
I don't know any of that.
because they jump too much.
Right.
So they hit the wall. So then they can do another jump.
I play like a regular dude.
Yeah.
Like I don't know all that stuff. So I raid speedrunners.
Yeah.
There's a guy called Arcus. He's super
I love
talented at
Arcus.
like
Ninja
Gaiden
Gaiden
and
guy.
everything.
Yeah.
There's TMR. Like he's great. He's got world record in Battletoads, I believe, still, and stuff like that. Like that's great. Speed running stresses me out, so I don't do it. I just play this stuff like a normal person. And I think some people have said that they like that because there seems to be a lot of people just do the speed running. So I feel like maybe it's nice to see somebody just play the games normally. Anyway, so I ended up beating the game, and afterwards I was like, well, like I mentioned earlier, I was like, well, what the fuck? I guess I'm never playing Mario 1 again. But somebody sent me a message and they said, hey, Mike, I watched your run that you did of Mario 1 when you beat it no hit and all this stuff. And did you know, I know you didn't submit your score, but according to Twin Galaxies, your score, because Mario Brothers has score, which you don't even think about. He's like, your score was number 26 in the world.
Wow.
Without trying it.
Wow.
So I was like, maybe I could try to get like a high score because I wasn't even going for score. And then I started to think, because I don't think about score in Mario.
Right.
So I was like, well, how do you even like get a higher score in Mario? So like some things you can do, you can like, get more, kill more enemies, like keep jumping on the I almost call it turtle. They're going to yell at me. Koopa, your time. Like how fast you like do things and stuff like that. There's all these different ways you can, get a higher score. So if I did another run where I actually tried to focus on score, I don't know if I'm going to do that. Right. I'm not saying that I'm going to do that. I'm just saying that's one thing that possibly could be done.
Isn't it like if your time ends in 7 or something on the stages, you get more.
The fireworks go off. One big way to get more points is to hit the top of the flagpole.
Yeah.
That's a obvious one and stuff like that. And as I was doing it, say I wasn't thinking about the score, I could have had a better score if when I was ending the stages, I was going for the top of the flagpole, but I didn't care about score, so I was just hitting the flagpole wherever, just trying to finish the stage. Yeah.
That's the other interesting thing. Speedrunners actually try to hit the bottom of the flagpole.
Oh, really?
But they hit it in a certain way where they like glitch through where like the flagpole won't go down. Like the way they do it, Mario just walks.
Okay. I guess that speeds it up somehow.
Which speeds it up. Yeah.
Interesting.
It's interesting. Like Mario is like one of the most studied games. Like they talk about like how many frames.
Right. I mean, it should be. It's one of the most famous games ever.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Right. So the fact that you were able to find something else you could do outside of that is really awesome.
Right. So, and then moving on to where I'm at now. And then the chat said, are you going to do the rest of the Mario games? And I'm like, I'm not going to do any 3D challenges. I'm not very good at the 3D games. I just play the 2D Mario games. So if you're looking for me to do Mario 64, I suck at all the 3D stuff. I know the old games. So at the time that we're recording this right now, this will probably come out later. I don't know where I'm going to be when this video comes out. Podcast, audio, however you're listening to this. And by the way, thank you guys for listening. If there's anybody out there, I'm working on Mario 2 right now.
Okay.
Mario 2 is way harder to do, and there's different requirements. Because when I started it, I was like, okay, I'm going to do the same thing. No power-ups, no this, no that. But Mario 2 doesn't work the same way that Mario 1 works. So one of the things I have to do is I say no no health upgrades. Because if you remember in Mario 2,
you can get another one from the little hearts that are floating.
The little hearts, but you gotta like you pull a root out of the ground.
Yeah.
And some of them might be like a jar, and then you throw the jar on the ground, which becomes a door. It's such a weird thing.
And then you go to the inverted world.
Right. And then you get there's a mushroom, and then you get the mushroom, and then it gives you that extra slot. But if you get hit, the little heart comes up. If you get enough cherries, and then you can fill those slots in. So I'm doing none of that. So one of the things I said, no, none of that shit.
Can you imagine like the madness, that discussion?
Right.
They're like, well, you see,
right.
You got to go to Door World and get a mushroom, and then the hearts come when you get the cherries, and they're like.
And isn't it funny that Nintendo was like, that's great, go, good, you know?
Hiroshi Yamauchi is like, could you get this guy out of here?
Right. But no, they went for it though.
Right.
So there's that, and then there's also the star thing. So I was also doing no stars because as you get cherries, I believe it is, eventually a star will come. I'm not getting the star. If I accidentally hit a cherry or something, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
Right.
But if I get the star, I reset the game. Oh, one thing I have to mention through all my challenges: if I get hit or fuck up in any way, I completely reset the game. Because some people said, well, why don't you just redo the stage from the beginning instead of redoing the whole game?
Because that's not the point.
It's not, for me, it's not the point.
Yeah.
You could do that, but it's way harder to do the whole game in one run than just do stage by stage by stage. That's way easier.
Makes sense.
So with Mario 2, I haven't beaten it yet. The furthest I've made it at this point, as we're recording this, is 5-3. I made it to. There's a section with the birds come in, and the birds have bombs, and they drop the fucking bombs all over the place. And I'm trying to like jump fucking. I'm using Luigi as I go through. I'm trying to jump the Luigi through all the bombs and all that. And there's like a million of them. I jump through a million of them, and then the fucking star comes up. But normally you'd be like, oh yeah, let me grab the star.
You gotta like...
I gotta get away from the star.
Right.
And then there's another 1,000 bombs coming at me. So I did this fucking crazy like part. And it was just like, it's making Mario 2 insanely difficult.
Right.
So I did the first game, Mario 1, with this challenge in... I don't know. I don't know how many hours. Let's say like 6 hours or something.
Wow.
It might have been more than that, but something like that. Where this, I've done it like 20 plus hours now. It's insane. I think I'll be able to eventually do it. I went through all the different levels just to check, like, what am I going to have to do in World 5? What am I going to have to do in World 6? What am I going to do when I get to Wart's Castle? So I know everything that I'm going to, like, I think it's possible. There's a section in Mario 2 where there's clouds.
Yeah. I was just thinking about the clouds. I was like, which level's the cloud level?
That's like 7-1 or 7-2, I think. So there's a part where, I don't even know how to explain it. There's like the bombs like running around the clouds, and you have to like get through it. When I was a kid, I remember I'd get to that section, and the only way I could get through it is you get a star, and then you run through it and just kill everything. I was like, that's how you get through it. But I can't do any of that now, and I can't get hit. All this fucking bullshit. I'm like, how is that even possible? So I just played the game normally until I got up to that part just to check.
Did you do it?
And I was able to do it.
Cool.
So basically, I'm still working at it at this point in time. And then, you know, people want to know, am I going to do all the other ones? So I'm planning to do, if I can ever fucking beat Mario 2, I'm planning to try Mario 2, then move on to Mario 3, do Mario World, and then at the end, try to do Lost Levels.
Yeah.
By the way, this might be something that I work on over years. I don't know if I'm going to fucking just keep doing this.
What about Mario Land and 6 Golden Coins and...
The Game Boy ones?
Yeah.
I was doing the console ones. Like maybe I'll get to those eventually someday.
I feel like we don't get to see many people playing that. One of the streams I did on the Cinemassacre Plays, remember when I was doing the streams on Plays, is I did Mario Land because I felt like it was like
I've
underappreciated.
No, I like Mario Land. I've streamed Mario Land as well. You know what's cool about Mario Land? Sometimes I say they've made, how many Mario games do you think they've made? A billion.
Hundreds,
right?
yeah.
So you know what's funny? They've never made a Mario shmup.
Mario Land.
But there's a section in Mario Land that has, it's like a Mario shmup.
Submarine, yeah.
But I mean like a full game that would be like Mario shmup. But I like Mario Land. Some people don't like it. I think it's a fun game.
I like the Super Ball. It bounces.
Yeah, no, it's good.
It's cool.
So yeah, I could do some kind of like challenge in that. That's a short game, so I feel like that one probably wouldn't be too hard, but who knows? I'd have to try it to know. I didn't think Mario 2 would be as hard as it's been, but it's fucking a nightmare. Yeah. It's a nightmare.
Wow.
I'm a little bit, I'm not going to be honest, I'm a little bit regretting it. But, but I think I can do it.
I'm probably going to be revisiting some of the early NES games and Super Nintendo games because I've been trying to learn the hiragana. I've been trying to learn the Japanese phonetic alphabet, basically.
Okay.
And hiragana and katakana, I'm trying to get through it. Just it's been a little thought exercise for me, and I'm about a third through the characters now. I can do like flashcard recognition of them, and stuff like that, and it's really opened up my mind to some of those early games and to some different things. My sister sends me a picture. She was at a restaurant somewhere, and I look at it and I see the character for Sue, and I see the character for she, and I'm like, it's sushi. Oh, right? Because it wasn't, for whatever reason, whoever designed that restaurant didn't make it the kanji.
Yeah.
They made it they wrote it out.
Yeah.
Right? So when I start seeing things and I know what they are, it's like you're unlocking like something that was always in plain sight.
Learning Japanese would be, helpful to know in this line of work that we do.
In this line of work.
Because like people ask me sometimes, they're like, Mike, we know you're part German. Like, do you speak German? I'm like, I'm from New Jersey. Like I speak, I'm like, fuck, you watch my fucking shit and fucking shit. Hey,
Oh.
So I'm like that. And you don't know, you're German too.
I am. And my grandma was like off the boat.
Right.
So I know things.
A little bit.
I do. If my mom speaks German to me, I can usually respond to her.
Okay.
It's not something I use really, but like I've done a lot. I have a degree in math, and I do a lot with programming, and I've done a lot of intellectual stuff in my life. And the one thing I've never done was language. And I've had some false starts over the years with this.
Well, have you not, like, you didn't take any in high school?
Oh, I went to Catholic school. I took Latin for 3 years, which is not very useful.
Mm-hmm.
I want to have things that are a challenge that distract me from work and things, and it's working out. But I can't wait to play like Doki Doki Panic or whatever and look at and start to try to comprehend.
Can we talk about the sets for a second?
Sure.
So here, I want to give my opinion on sets.
Yeah.
So before we did retail reviews.
Yes.
And we used to have another set with the wooden wall and all that, where we did Mike and Ryan and all that. Here's what I think. It doesn't matter. I'm going to go back to Star Trek again. People would always come up to William Shatner and they say, hey, have you seen the new Enterprise E? I remember they would say to him when the Enterprise E was new.
Right.
To Shatner. And they're like, he's like, it's, whatever. And then they ask him again when the J.J. Abrams movie comes out, what do you think of the new Enterprise? That's like a question he gets whenever there's a new Enterprise. And he would answer, it's a vehicle for plot. Yes. It's a plot thing for a science fiction thing. And I think that's a great answer. So I'm saying that as it doesn't matter. What matters is our words and what you're listening to. So the people are like, oh, I think this and that about the set. Who cares what the fucking set is? The set, we could be in space right now, or what. I don't care what the set is under any circumstances. I care about what we're talking about and what our audience is listening to us say.
I don't disagree.
Yes.
For me, it was a lot of fun to build.
Yeah. I like the set and everything. I'm not saying I don't. I'm just saying I feel like that's not what's important.
I got to tell you, this is the first time I ever used a nail gun. So that was a fun experience. You know, maybe they shouldn't give me the nail gun. I was shooting them across the room. I'm easily amused, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the first time I used a nail gun. The pillars are actually wood, and we painted them. They're like finished and things like that. So I had fun with the craftsmanship.
Yeah.
But I don't disagree with you.
Right.
Yeah. I think people like to see something nice.
Sure.
I think that in like when we were in AVGN, it's funny, in AVGN, you know, you always used to, and I did a few times, put things in the background
I used to dress the set.
to see if somebody would see it, and they would never comment on the thing you wanted them to.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So I was thinking maybe it's like you have like PTSD from like, I carefully do all these things in the background.
I remember in the Bible games episode specifically taking like the Bowser thing, like putting it here and there, and I put like the Friday the 13th episode. I had my thing of like Link behind the couch and stuff like that, and they're not paying attention
to this day.
But you know what? That's good though in a way, because they're paying attention to what's happening and not something on the wall.
Right.
If they were paying attention to the thing on the wall and not what's happening, that would be more of a problem.
You're absolutely right.
So
it's almost
fine.
like with sets, it's almost like what you don't see.
Right.
Like if you did a good job with a set, nobody will notice you did a good job with the set. Right. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of the moral of the story.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I guess that's this week's episode of Talk About Games. Be sure to like and subscribe and watch online and whatever.
Click the bell.
Click the bell.
See us wherever podcasts are found and listen to. Listen to us in the car at home. Talk about games.
Play the theme song. Get us out of here.
Take us out.